News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Make it a preset. 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. Don't know if you caught this. In Michigan, in Dearborn, Michigan, there was a rally. And at that rally, there were chants of what we have never, until now, I've never heard of this ever happening in our country. Maybe you have. I'm sure it's happened somewhere. But for the first time I've ever heard or seen, the chants that we see in the streets of Pakistan or, let's say, Iran or Syria or Lebanon are happening in the United States of America as they chant, "Death to America, death to America," and then "Death to Israel, death to Israel."
الموت لأمريكا! الموت لأمريكا!
That is "Death to America," presumably in Arabic, and then they also did the same thing, "Death to Israel," twice at this hour-long rally. And what's really sad and embarrassing, they did this in front of the Henry Ford Centennial Library. You think of Henry Ford, the Model T, and Michigan, and now it appears Michigan, at least parts of it, have fallen. This is unflippin' believable. Now you start to understand when you see the stunning survey that came out after October 7th and that horrific small Holocaust, the second Holocaust in Israel from Hamas. You see that 72%, Reuters reported, 72% of every person in Gaza, every Palestinian, 72% of them support Hamas and the terrorism, the rape, the murder, and the beheading of the Jewish people, our Jewish brothers and sisters in that great nation state of ours, of our allies, our strongest ally there. And so we now have that going on here. We have that going on here, and what's really, really, really stunning to me is that Joe Biden, the president who supposedly is supposed to be backing Israel more than anybody, although President Trump is the one who moved the embassy to Jerusalem, and nobody else did that before, and the president who broke out Middle East peace with the historic Abraham Accords that still continue today. This president, this current one, has not said anything directly. Not one statement directly, other than Karine Jean-Pierre saying that he condemns it through her. That's the word. Just that was it. He condemns it, but he has not said anything that in American streets, in a state that he needs, where 150,000 people voted anyone but you, Joe, even though they usually would vote for Democrat, because of what's going on there, are now chanting. Some of them are now chanting "Death to America." I want to ask you a few questions. What do you think about this? Why do you think Joe Biden was so passionate about, listen to this, do you remember when he was passionate about calling out the anti-Semitism with those tiki torches and stuff? And he said, this is anti-Semitism, and that caused him to run for presidency. Remember that? That's why he decided to run for president. He condemned it. And here we are today, and he says nothing about chants in the streets saying "Death to America, death to America." My. Apparently it's not sparking him to speak. I guess because he already has the presidency, now he doesn't care about anti-Semitism, it appears. I want to ask you, why do you think Joe Biden was so passionate about mentioning anti-Semitism protests, saying it sparked him to run for president, but not anti-Israel and anti-America chants now? Why so passionate then for Israel and Jewish Americans, but not now? And number two, why do you think Governor Gretchen Whitmer, a Democrat, and Rashida Tlaib, the first ever Palestinian American congresswoman, haven't said a word about this either? Even when asked, no response. They're silent too. Why do you think that? 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. That's 800-288-WBAP. Chime in right now. Line's wide open for you at 800-288-WBAP. So, it is stunning. Did you ever think that you would see this day? Have you ever heard of an American chanting death to America in the streets and death to Israel in the streets at a rally that's an hour long. This is a major public rally. This wasn't in some radical Islamic mosque somewhere. This was a major public rally. The Michigan Jewish Community Relations Council spoke out about this. This was on Fox 2 in Detroit and then covered as well on Yahoo News today.
The rhetoric is frightening, and we know that this is not a majority view of the Arab and Muslim community, but for those who were there, for those who were partaking in the shouting of death to Israel and death to the United States is frightening, to say the least. It puts Jews at risk when it comes down to it. We are a population who have been facing rising rates of anti-Semitism before October 6th, before the October 6th massacre, and it's only been exponentially higher since then.
That is exactly correct. When the Jews are slaughtered and attacked, more incidences of anti-Semitism after they're attacked, slaughtered, murdered, and systematically raped and kidnapped. After that, now that it's even worse. Do you know who the number one recipient of hate crimes are in America, according to the FBI, for several years, for a long time now? You know who it is? Jewish people. Jews are the number one victim of hate crimes in America and have been for several years. Several years. These folks can't cut a break from anybody because the oldest hate in the world continues today in America. 3 lines are open. 800-288-WBAP is our number. 800-288-9227. Chime in right now. I want to ask you, first of all, have you ever heard this in America? I swear to you, I've never heard of this happening in our country. It is now. You know what else? I'm not surprised. You know why? Because I saw on CNN a 4-minute special the other day, a 4-minute interview, and they were in Atlanta, predominantly African-American, young, educated, activist folks. And they were asking him about this, and they all when some of them pronounced Gaza, they said Gaza, like they're from Palestine. These folks have been, and it's not just black young folks, it's all sorts of folks that are young. These folks, including white suburbanite kids, because my daughter's friends with some of them, and she's like, yeah, da da da. I'm like, are you kidding me? That sweetheart is feeling that way and says that? They're being brainwashed on TikTok. China is besties with Hamas and with Iran and with Russia. This is all part of that. They're seeing this and hearing it from there. The anti-Semitic posts have skyrocketed. It's been tracked on TikTok. They get their news from TikTok, which is anti-Semitic in many places, and it shows Hamas in a sympathetic light. These young folks, do not believe that the Jews were slaughtered, beheaded, raped, burned alive, babies raped and beheaded, women raped and beheaded, children raped and beheaded, genital mutilation, tremendously shot, pounded in with horrific blunt instruments and bullets and knives in the kibbutz near Oz, and in many, many other ones, and this has been documented. Even the UN came out recently and said that the female hostage victims are being, for a fact now, the UN says, and they're far leftist and they're not the friend of Israel, even they now say they're being systematically sexually tortured in captivity when they're kidnapped and being raped. And the stories keep coming. And yet, death to America in America's streets, and death to Israel in America's streets. Why do you think Biden was so passionate about mentioning anti-Semitic protests when he decided to run for president, but not now? And why do you think Governor Whitmer and Rashida Tlaib in Michigan are also silent too? 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. 3 lines open on News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Coming up next, guess what? You think it's not in our high schools in DFW? It is. I have horrifying stories telling children that here's some of the quotes that were told in one of our high schools in North Texas. Go bathe in Auschwitz where you belong, you dirty Jew. Burn the Jews. Where did this happen? And what has happened as a result of that? Next. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Make it a preset. 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. In just a moment, which high school in North Texas had our kids saying, dirty Jew, go bathe in Auschwitz where you belong, burn the Jews, 2 Jewish students. And nothing's been done at all in 3 years of complaints, parents working with the school, trying to get things changed. And so a federal civil rights complaint has been filed, rightfully so. I will tell you about that in a moment. But first, let's go to Nick in Dallas. Nick, you're on News Talk 820 WBAP now. Actually, I should say this. You're on 820 AM and now 93.3 FM WBAP. Hey, Nick.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, sir. How are you?
Good. So I've been listening, and I'm a gay Jewish person, okay? So, and I'm very young, okay? I'm not against hate against my own people. I'm not against hate against anybody, okay? But again, we do live in America, right?
Are you asking me if we live in America?
Yeah, we live in America, right?
That's
okay. So yeah, it hurts to hear these comments and things.
Yes, we
like
live
that.
in America.
Okay, but it's like we are in America of a world of free speech, right? So we're trying to condemn these people in school and everything and making these comments, but we all have our own right to say what we want to say, right?
You can say whatever you like, but sometimes there's repercussions, and I would assume that,
but
like Dr. Hello, you asked a question. Let me respond. Assuming you would agree with Dr. Martin Luther King, if somebody's not willing to suffer the consequences of their activism or taking a stand, then they're no activist at all. They don't believe in what they stand for. If you go to the Dr. King Museum in Atlanta, you'll see that and be very moved. I don't know if you've been to that, but so in America, we have freedom of speech. But the speech does have limits. For example, the oft-stated yelling fire in a crowded theater is not okay. Yelling death to America and death to Israel, I mean, death to Israel is a little bit less harsh, I guess, because we're not in Israel. But death to America is something that turns heads. Does it turn your head? Does it turn your head?
It does. Yeah, death to America, yes. Especially hearing from, Hamas and everything like that when it comes to events and especially like what happened in Russia with the concert and everything. And then we were told to be warned for any gatherings and anything like that. Yes, I do see it like that.
And one more question about that, sir, is as a Jew, number one, and as an LGBTQ person, number two, obviously you know what Hamas would do to you if you were in their area and or any radical Islamist would do like Hamas would do to you if you were in their area.
Exactly, but I'm not in that area.
Thank God. Wait, by the way, thank God, praise God, you are in America.
Yes,
which is why you probably don't support. Which is why you probably don't support saying "Death to America."
22 years ago, I don't support death to America. But again, when you say kids are having their own things, and this is how actually kids feel, in school. Whenever I was in school, I had a lot of thoughts and things that against
dirty Jews and stuff.
Other religions and other races that I was not cool with. At one point, I did make some comments myself that against other races and other religions, but that's just what I'm sorry, that's why we live in America, so we can have these opinions, we can have these thoughts, we can.
Yes. Are you saying though, if you drop an N-bomb at a black kid in school, that's not a big deal?
No, I wouldn't say that.
Okay. So how about kids? Hold on, sir. Real fast. Relax. How about kids bullying somebody for years to a Jew in a high school? It's Hillcrest High School. Calling him a dirty Jew. Go bathe in Auschwitz where you belong. Swastika drawings, including one in a bathroom stall along with the words "Burn the Jews." What do you think about that?
Hold on 1 second. So with that being said...
I asked you a question. What do you think about those things? Burn the Jews next to a swastika, graffiti, and swastika drawings, and go bathe in Auschwitz where you belong, and dirty Jew. What do you? And then also writing a swastika on a piece of paper, and then a teacher sees it, and then the teacher just erases it and says nothing else. What do you think about that?
That's their right. Was it the teacher's right to erase it and not report it to the parents? No, it wasn't. But that was
that's happening.
Right.
That's happening.
Okay, but that's not on the kid who's saying it. That's on the teacher who's not reporting it.
Okay, so as a Jew and a LGBTQ person, you're okay. Like if you're sitting in school and people are saying we should burn you alive and go bathe in Auschwitz, you're a dirty Jew.
I've been threatened to be the life beaten out of me for being LGBT and being Jew and everything like that. But again, that's no different.
But hold on, you actually think it's okay.
The N-word.
But you think that's okay? You like just let it go and deal with it. No. Hold on, sir. No punishment.
No, I'm not saying like drastic punishments, but again,
I'm just asking you, no punishment?
No, I'm not saying no punishment.
Okay, no punishment.
No, I'm not saying no punishment.
Okay, what are you saying? We got to go. What are you saying, though?
Repercussions?
What are you saying, brother?
Sorry, there should be some type of repercussions, but I feel like y'all are taking this to a whole different level.
How so?
It's no different than another student calling another student the N-word.
Wait, how am I taking it to another,
Because can you explain to me?
Hold on, real fast. How am I taking it to another level when people are yelling "Death to America" on the streets?
Okay, I'm not for Death America to the streets. But
you've said that already, but how am I taking it to a new level? What am I saying that is taking it to a new level?
Because you're making it be like, calling dirty Jews is no different than me saying the N-word to a black person.
Okay, yes, I don't think so. So what do you I don't know what you're saying. You're angry at me, but I don't know why. What have I done? What's wrong?
Because y'all are so, like, I don't know. I think I'm just like so upset at the fact that like
You upset with the people saying dirty Jew and Death to America, or me?
No, I'm not. I'm upset with you.
Okay. Thank you very much for your call. Calm down a little bit, and I look forward to more calls. Keep calling in. That was amazing. That was a good ending, and I thank you for your call. You've gotten an extraordinary amount of call time, more than others, but you were very well worth it. I mean, that was amazing. Thank you very much. You're not mad at the people saying "Death to America." You're not mad at the people calling Jewish children in high school dirty Jews and death to Jews and burn them alive. You're mad at me. I got you, sir. We're going to continue to break that one down next. Plus your reaction, 800-288-WBAP. 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. We're going to pull a piece of that call and just play it a little bit because it's quite shocking. We have people yelling and chanting at a rally in front of the Ford Center in Dearborn, Michigan. They're yelling "Death to America, Death to Israel." And here we have that. And then after that, we have the Jewish, the Michigan Jewish Community Reliance Council or something of that effect, Relational Council. And here are they. Here's the rally where they chanted "Death to America, Death to Israel."
الموت لأمريكا! الموت لأمريكا!
And then here is the Jewish Committee Council, if you will.
The rhetoric is frightening, and we know that this is not a majority view of the Arab and Muslim community, but for those who were there, for those who were partaking in the shouting of death to Israel and death to the United States, is frightening to say the least. It puts Jews at risk when it comes down to it. We are a population who have been facing rising rates of anti-Semitism before October 6th, before the October 6th massacre, and it's only been exponentially higher since then.
Here's the guy that was leading that rally, Takek Bazi.
So when these fools ask us if Israel has a right to exist, the chant "Death to Israel" has become the most logical chant shouted across the world today.
He also praises in his speeches the Imam Khomeini, Ayatollah Khomeini. This one's the Ayatollah Ruhollah Mousavi Khomeini, and he declared an International Al-Quds Day. Of course, the Quds Force is with the IRCG, Iranian Revolutionary Guard. He would say to pour all of your chants and all of your shots upon the head of America, is what this same guy you just heard from there said at this rally. And it's pretty shocking that Joe Biden won't say anything directly about it, and he won't say, and also Democrat Governor Gretchen Whitmer won't say anything about it, and nor will Rashida Tlaib. Now, it's also, I wanted to segue from that into what we're about to talk about in Dallas. At Hillcrest High School in Dallas, and you can bet that this is going on in other high schools. When I have a sweetheart who's friends with my daughter, and my daughter tells me when she's not around, you know, and I'm not talking to the young lady about this. She was at our house today. I'm not going to do anything other than love on her because that's what I do to my daughter and her friends, obviously. But it's just so sad that she is on that whole anti-Israel, pro-Hamas or pro-Palestinian thing and all sorts of stuff. She probably believes in rip from the river to the sea, which means kill every Jew and wipe out Israel. But this has got to be going on, I most assuredly, at other major high schools in the suburbs. Do not think this is not going on in Collin County schools or Denton County schools or Tarrant County schools where they're super woke as well as they are in Dallas County schools. Do not think so at all. They're at Hillcrest High since 2021, 3 years. A Jewish student has been complaining, and his parents have been complaining. He's been chronicling and keeping a log of every time he's hit with anti-Semitic taunts, attacks, and everything. They've said dirty Jew. They've said praise Hitler. They've said go bathe in Auschwitz where you belong. They've had swastika drawings. They've included a bathroom stall alongside the words burn the Jews. And they have now filed a federal civil rights complaint, which I support. This is exactly what it's there for. At least some of the incidents, the family told the Dallas Morning News, which came out today with this story, at least some of these horrific incidents were heard by faculty members at the present time. No evidence that did anything about this. By the way, this is DEI. DEI says and this is what happened at Harvard, where Jewish students, and I don't think these folks like the gentleman who called in the last segment who's so angry, and he's angry at me. He's angry at me. He said he's not angry at the kids who are saying death to America, or the people chanting death to America and telling a kid you're a dirty Jew, go bathe in Auschwitz where you belong, and burn the Jews. He's not mad at them. He's mad at me. What did I do? You got it? Okay, it's in. We're going to play that in just a second if you didn't hear it. One bathroom stall, as I mentioned, says burn the Jews. But DEI says that Jews are white and therefore they are oppressors. That's what we learned, particularly in Harvard. And Jewish students at Harvard and at campuses in New York City, other campuses, private universities, we've seen them chased into the library, doors locked, as they terrorize people, banging on the windows and screaming at them. Jews hunted down, Jews shoved to the ground. Horrific incidents of anti-Semitism at Penn State, at MIT, our elite institutions, but also at all of the institutions this is happening. So don't you dare think this isn't happening at suburban DFW high schools. And faculty did nothing, according to these complaints. Dallas ISD says it prides itself in fostering a diverse and inclusive environment, but if you're teaching DEI, which I'm sure you are, you're teaching that Jews are whites and therefore they're oppressors. Seriously. The age-appropriate programming is addressing anti-Semitic. They asked for age-appropriate programming, the family did, to address anti-Semitic harassment. Nothing done. The group Stand With Us, which is a Jewish organization, a national Jewish organization, filed that federal civil rights complaint. And I stand with you, stand with us, and with this family. Dallas ISD complaint is its first against a public school district. Listen, the first in a public school district. By the way, our phone number is 800-288-WBAP, 800-288-9227. Are you surprised this anti-Semitism is going on in our schools in North Texas? Are you surprised this is going on in our schools in North Texas? All right, let's go to Steve in Carrollton. Steve, you're on News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey, Steve.
Hey, Chris.
Hi.
I was telling your call screener about a situation we have or had, or actually kind of still actively having in Louisville ISD.
See?
In a middle school.
In a middle school?
Yeah.
Okay.
At the middle school level, they were studying the Southeast Asia, North Africa section of, I guess, the world geography. The class is not called world geography. They give it another name. But they decided that this was a perfect time to talk about Palestine and Israel. And the major complaint by the teacher who put this lesson on, who actually wrote it up because the old lesson wasn't updated. So she updated it to say that the people in Israel were ruining Palestine. They were taking back the land. They had pictures of maps that showed how a bunch of years ago it was all Palestine. And then these little Jews came up and they took a little bit of it. Then another map shows a little bit more where the Israelis have taken it. And up to ultimately 4 maps and a complete reverse of what it was. So I had to go to the school and raise sand about it, and I did. So
praise God. Let me ask you a question. Thank God. Let me ask you a question real fast, because I want to get this all out, and I want to get the name of the school. If you don't want to give the school, that's fine. But listen, how did you find out? I'm sure your son or daughter told you, but tell me, how did you find out, and how did they tell you about it, and what kind of stuff did you get that showed you that? Like, oh my gosh.
Well, funny thing, I actually had another parent email or text message me and asked me if I had seen it. So it was a homework assignment that the kids had that they were supposed to do at home. So she sent me screenshots of his and asked if my son had gotten it. So I went home that evening and saw, in fact, he did. So they had taught this or that teacher had taught it to every student in that class and every other social or world history class that she had that day. And it was a 15-page packet that they passed out, and it did exactly what it was designed to do. The kids who don't know any better, these are 6th graders. The kids don't know any better. So
12-year-olds.
Only learning it from the teacher. Yeah.
12-year-old.
They're learning it from the teacher.
Your 12-year-old is being taught to hate Israel and therefore hate the Jews. Yep. Is that accurate?
Yep. That's exactly what happened.
And can you tell us the name of this school, or do you want to just say Louisville ISD?
I'd rather leave it at Louisville
okay.
ISD at this moment. We're looking at getting it worked out through other means, but it will be if you'd like. I'll certainly help you.
Yes, I want to exchange information off the air. I'm going to get your email, and we're gonna whatever you're comfortable giving me, so I can stay in touch with you off the air, because I want to continue to follow this with you, and I want to advocate for you in a way that you're comfortable with me advocating for you. For the school.
Yeah, no problem.
I want to see this through. That teacher needs to be fired. That teacher should never teach in Texas again. This is hate. It's false, and it's dangerous. And I am.
But I'll tell you, Chris, it's not just the teacher. I sat in meetings with the principal, with the lady from the district who's the department head, and the district department head could not say whether or not Palestine was a country even. I said, ma'am, Palestine has never been a country.
Correct.
What are you doing? He goes, well, we're going back and forth. It was nuts. But, even so, it's not just the teacher. It goes all the way up.
We need to get this out there at the way you're comfortable with. Because I'm not here to mess with things. I'm here to help you to make this be done right. Because I don't trust them, and I have the ability to get it out there in a way that you're comfortable with. So I want to work with you in a way that you're comfortable with to make you more powerful in this situation by putting it out in the spot, putting a spotlight on it. Because this is completely disgusting. Every single everybody that I know, whether it be in my life, in my family, in my friendship universe, my church, and other churches that I know of, we are all staunch advocates for Israel. This is disgusting. This is unacceptable. And this is an outrage. I'm going to put you on hold and let producer Garrett switch information with you, and then I want to help you in any way that you're comfortable with, okay?
Thanks.
Thank God, Steve, that you're there, and thank God that you and that parent care. Thank you so much, brother. All right, stand by. Holy crap, Louisville ISD. What did I tell you? Unbelievable. 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. Coming up next, if you missed that call at 25 after, about 25 to 26 after, you don't want to miss this. This guy was mad at me, not mad at the people saying death to America and yelling dirty Jew and go bathe in Auschwitz and burn the Jews to a kid in high school. Why do you think this is happening? Well, when you're teaching stuff like hating Jews and hating Israel in middle school in Louisville, what do you think's going on at your school? Don't even think it's not. 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. I'm going to tell you the rest of this story. There's a lot more going on at Hillcrest High School in DISD. There's a lot more going on in your school. If you are aware of it, call now, 800-288-WBAP. Okay, unfortunately, the news is getting worse. We have another caller, and something very similar to our Louisville caller moments ago who was powerful. And yes, we exchanged information off the air. I will be working with him. And the key is in a way that he's comfortable with, not me, because I seek to increase his ability to expose and have more power in this situation to get people who hate Israel, hate Jews, and who teach our children false information that raises them up to be a Jew-hating activist, anti-Semitic activist. They must be flushed out. And people who are above them, as our caller said, that don't know anything about Palestine, or there's no places Palestine, don't know anything about the Israel situation in Gaza, etc., they have no business overseeing Jew-hating and false anti-Semitic teachings in our middle schools in Louisville. Now we go to Frisco. Michelle, you're on News Talk 820. You've called in, I should say, at 800-288-WBAP, 800-288-9227 on the great News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. You're on 820 AM now, 93.3 FM WBAP. Hi, Michelle in Frisco.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, thank you. I just have to say I love your show. I think it's great that you're getting the word out there and everything.
Thank you. Well, it's so much better because of parents like you. Go ahead, please. Yes.
Oh, thanks. No, I had actually I thought it was 4 years ago, but it was like 3 years ago. And now she's in 8th grade. She was in 5th grade. Picked her up from school. How was your day? She said, oh, it was okay. They had a substitute teacher, and the teacher made her feel uncomfortable. She was Indian, whatever, dressed in like her garb and everything. I don't know what they call it. But and she said that every so often she would have the kids work on something while she laid out her mat and prayed. And she said, and she would be mumbling. She would, like, while they were working on stuff in class, she would be in the corner and she would be facing a certain way and she'd be mumbling to herself in her foreign tongue. And yeah. And then this was 3 years ago in Frisco, in elementary school. A substitute teacher.
I'm seeing in my computer screen it says similar anti-Semitic incident. So was there something anti-Semitism about it, or was she practicing her faith openly in the classroom, which is not allowed?
Well, it was practicing her faith and everything, and then when we went to dispute it. We were told that that was okay, and I guess it's not really an anti-Semitic situation per se, but it's just.
So was she practicing Islam and praying to Mecca in class?
Yes.
My gosh, that's not okay. You can't the Constitution and the law and the Supreme Court cases. It doesn't matter what religion it is. The Supreme Court cases are very clear on this, including one that just went last year, where the teacher, the coach/teacher, who at the end of the football game in Washington State went to the center field and kneeled and prayed. He didn't ask the students to come. He didn't tell them to come. He didn't offer them to come. He just did that, and the students decided to go with him and pray. But he didn't. You can. That was at an after-school event. But in the classroom, if you're taking people in the direction of what you do, that's a big no-no.
In the classroom, when you have kids, in elementary, you have basically kids.
She's showing them by example. Here's what I do, and obviously I'm the head of the class. This is what you should do. That's not okay.
Yeah.
That should be done.
And like I said, the students felt, well, my daughter said, her and some of her friends, felt very uncomfortable because I just merely asked her when I picked her up, hey, how was your day, blah, 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 And she's like, it's kind of weird. And I'm like, why? She's like, well, we have this, blah, blah, blah. And
I'm sure they would let her.
It made me feel awkward.
Yeah, I'm sure they would let her. You can't do that in the classroom. That's rude. That's wrong.
No, you can barely say the Pledge of Allegiance in the classroom.
Yeah, exactly. So I think what they would do is make it a reasonable accommodation for her, whether it be in the teacher's lounge when she needs to go pray, 5 times a day, whatever. That's fine. Just do it in a way your supervisors approve. Anyways, thanks for that call, Michelle. Appreciate it. Okay, well, listen, if you missed that call from 9:25, you have to hear it because it is shocking. A young Jewish LGBTQ guy is mad at me. He's not mad at the guys yelling death to America, death to Israel in Michigan, and he's not mad at the kids in the high school in Dallas saying, taunting Jews, saying dirty Jew, go bathe in Auschwitz, burn the Jews and such. He's mad at me. And then I ask him why. Well, we'll get to all that coming up next. You'll hear it and you can react. But the other thing is, in the anti-Semitism in these schools, in Hillcrest High School, you're not going to believe who one of the bullies was, what faith he was. This is going to shock you. It's the last faith of somebody you think they were that would say anti-Semitic things. We'll explore that as well coming up next on the Chris Crock Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3.